Maybe our next guest, who, despite a great career, given the cyclical nature of failure in baseball, I'm sure he's battled a few 0 for 20 slumps along the way. That's our buddy Chipper Jones. Hey, Chipper, it's Tiki and Tierney. How you doing, buddy? What's happening?
What's up, guys? I do not miss those 0 for 20s, I can promise.
Oh, jeez, I can't imagine you do. Well, Andrew McCutchen, and that's why we kind of led into this conversation here, Chipper. And he's not an aging player like A-Rod who's being ignored by the Yankees. This is somebody who's clearly in his prime still for a team that's fighting a postseason spot or for one. And Clint Hurdle just said, we'll basically see you in half a week. That doesn't happen very much. What's going on?
Yeah, I went to the first game night before last, and I wondered, where Kutch was. Asked some of the guys on the Braves, throughout the game, was he hurt? Da-da-da-da. I knew he wasn't having a typical McCutchen-type year. And look, you're not going to do it every single year. You're going to go through many slumps and struggle with your confidence, things like that. I think one year, right around when I was 30 or so, I hit 245 for an entire year. So you're going to go into funks. It is surprising because he is such a great player and has been a perennial all-star, a perennial MVP candidate. To see him struggle as much as he has this year.
Yeah, but he's hitting 241 on the year. But did your skip ever threaten or think about sitting you for an extended period of time? I mean, it's not really a slap in the face, but it kind of feels like one. And could there be some injury issue that he's just not telling us about?
I gotta think there's something that might be nagging him to a certain extent. I know Bobby would come up to me every once in a while and say, "Hey, look, you played 50 games in a row, and we got a 17-game stretch where we don't have any days off, and you look tired. You look like you might need a day." But that was it. That's all you got. And to be honest with you, in the ninth inning of a tie ball game on your off day, you better be ready to pinch hit. So things of that nature. But yeah, I mean, for an extended period of time, that's what makes me think there's a little something else that could possibly be nagging him.
We're talking to Chipper Jones with us here on Tiki and Tierney, CBS Sports Radio. As a general premise here, Chipper, I mean, some guys, when they're in that 0 for 20 funk or whatever McCutchen's in right now, basically for the whole month of July, some people, and I'm sure that you were like this, and I could see like a Mattingly and a Boggs and a Gwynn and a George Brett, the real grinders, guys that really knew the strike zone. I think their way out in their minds was to just grind in the cage and just keep whacking, do some soft toss, hit off the tee. The other thing would be a mental respite where you basically just go away. I know everybody's different, but for you, what was better? Just to get a little rest or to just keep going and trying to, tweak the mechanics?
Well, I think that they both went hand in hand. I know that I went to Bobby quite a few times over the years and said, "Hey, Skip, I need a day to figure this out. My swing is out of whack. I need to get in the cage and take 200 swings." Well, with 200 swings comes blisters and a lot of energy expended. And it probably would help on those days to have a day off, from the game itself. And Bobby was always very understanding and trying to get us what we needed to be successful, and if I said I needed a mental and a physical day to get in the cage to work things out, and it would help, immediately for the next 7 days, then he was willing to do that for us.
Yeah, we just saw a couple of weeks ago, Chipper, just to get on a different subject, a couple of days ago, I should say, the Hall of Fame inductions. And we all know the storied history of Ken Griffey Jr., but his Hall of Fame mate is someone I think you're familiar with, Mike Piazza. What made him so special, especially in New York, a city that, as we all know, is went through some tragedy. He had an iconic hit coming back from after 9/11 that will last in lore forever. But he didn't seem like that super athlete. You know what I mean? He's not that guy that you say, "I want that guy on my team." Yeah, you know what? He's not that guy. I don't want him. But here he is. He's a Hall of Famer.
You know, I mean, you could say the same thing about somebody like Greg Maddux. You know, I mean, he didn't have any kind of athletic ability whatsoever, but you put him 60 feet 6 inches from home plate, and he could do some special things. No, Mike was. He might not have been the greatest defensive catcher in the world, but let me tell you something. When he was in that batter's box and he had a piece of wood in his hand, he was to be feared. And you're talking about probably the best offensive catcher that any of us have ever seen, probably rivals right up there with a Johnny Bench. But, yeah, I mean, playing in New York City, he obviously the matinee idol there. And being able to experience that homer that he hit the first game after 9/11, I get asked all the time, some of the lasting memories from New York throughout my career, and that is certainly at the top of the list, and there's not even a close second. I was standing in left field in a 2-2 ball game in the eighth inning when he stepped to the plate, and there's been about 10 or 15 times during the course of my career where I had a premonition of something that was going to happen. And he was walking to the plate, and I was thinking to myself, he's going to hit a home run right here, and the roof is going to come off of this place. And when he hit it, he obviously hit a bomb off of Steve Carsey, and it landed up in the scaffolding up in left center field. And I never even moved. I looked at Andrew, and I was in amazement. It was just one of those spine-tingling moments. It was, it'll live in infamy, like you said. It might not have won a championship like a Joe Carter home run in Toronto,
yep,
but for the well-being of an entire city and the Northeast itself, that was one of the biggest home runs ever hit.
And not to throw this into the same category, the emotion and the importance totally different. And I'm saying this with a smile, so hopefully you're going to roll with it, man. But did you have a premonition when my boy Jimmy Leyritz took that Walden slider deep back in '96? Did you have a premonition? You have a premonition that was coming, Chip?
I did not. There weren't too many people that could turn around Mark Wohlers, but Jimmy Lay did it. It was certainly another home run that will live in New York infamy. It was a tide-turning home run, and certainly one that we'll never forget.
It was incredible.
In
when you watch David Ortiz play now? How amazed are you at his age? Might win the MVP. I mean, how is he doing this, Chip?
Yeah. I threw it out on Twitter, a while back. I was like, has anybody ever won an MVP and then retired? I mean, it's
What's the answer?
Insane.
Did we get an answer? I don't think so.
I mean, I don't think so either.
Yeah.
It's really a testament and a tribute to David. He's been a great player, a great clutch hitter for a really, really long time, and it continues here. How old is he now? Is he 40?
Yeah,
40
yet?
yet?
Yeah.
I mean, for him, I had a decent year when I was 40. I think I hit 14, 15 homers and drove in 75 or 80. This guy's going to lead the league in homers and RBIs. He's hitting well over 300. He must be sick of the grind because you're not that successful. Usually your game tends to wane when you get towards your late 30s and early 40s in baseball, and he seems to be going as strong as ever. So, and I know how immensely popular he is.
He is.
Not just in the Northeast, but all around baseball. It'd be a shame if he still got a couple years in the tank for him to hang it up.
Talking to Hall of Famer Chipper Jones with us here on Tiki and Tierney, CBS Sports Radio.
Chipper, Delta Airlines is obviously the official airline of the Atlanta Braves. What's this promotion that you guys have going on that allows maybe some fans to come hang out with you?
Yeah. You can go to www.deltadugout.com to check it out. But like you said, Delta Airlines has been the official airline of the Atlanta Braves for a long time. Obviously, a huge hub down here in the Southeast. It's a season-long promotion that encourages fans nationwide to engage with their teams for a chance to win some memorable baseball experiences, i.e. maybe going to spring training and playing catch and be able to experience all that spring training has to offer. Being around your favorite team, your favorite player. Just to amplify the program, I went undercover as a cameraman a couple weeks ago with some season ticket holders here in Atlanta, and they're getting a tour of the stadium and all the great pictures of all the great moments and all the great players, and the tour guide is kind of purposefully leaving me out. I think one of the unique features at Turner Field is for the suites, on the club level, they have the suites numbered, and under each number, like, say, number 10, they have all the players that wore number 10
nice.
for the organization.
That's pretty cool.
That's cool.
We get to number 10, and they purposefully leave me out. Well, there's a couple of guys that have my jersey on, and they're looking at each other like, this guy's purposefully leaving Chipper out of everything around this. Long story short, we get down to the dugout, and I'm in full disguise. I got beard, mustache, wig, hat, camera, everything. And I come out of my disguise, and everybody goes, crazy. And I play catch with all the guys. So it was a neat experience and pretty funny to see their reaction, because they've seen this hairy cameraman walking around behind for half an hour. So it was really cool, and that's just something that we thought would be fun to do with the fans.
Hey man, we're up against a hard break. We got about 10 seconds or maybe 20, but get those heavy stretch. You're playing baseball with Roger and some of the boys. You're still playing. What are you doing here, Chipper? Come on.
I backed out. I threw out my back in Tahoe last week, and I can't play.
Oh man,
See, that's the danger.
It's probably a blessing in disguise, because I called my knee doctor and preemptively scheduled my third ACL appointment. So